The United States of America can be very different from one state to another, but one thing every state has in common is agriculture. And the farms across America are like the patchwork of a quilt that binds our nation together, and each state is represented in their own unique way.
Hey there, I'm Charlie Behrens, and welcome to the Agricultural States of America. We're going to test your knowledge about the agriculture of different states and hopefully give you a bit of appreciation for all the great things that farmers are producing across America. Now today we're talking about Nebraska, also known as the Cornhusker State. Now aside from being the mascot for the University of Nebraska, the term Cornhusker comes from, as you might be able to guess, husking corn. And from there, it's safe to assume that Nebraska grows a lot of corn. Now, if you're thinking corn, boring, let me remind you that aside from your cornflakes and your corn on the cob, corn is responsible for oil, syrup, starch, fuel, and most importantly, whiskey. Nebraska is third in the nation for corn production, turning out 1.6 billion bushels of corn each year. But I bet you didn't know that a good majority of that corn actually stays in state to help feed the cattle. That's right, Nebraska's cattle get to have their corn and eat it too. Now, agriculture is Nebraska's largest industry, with the cattle business powering the economy. And that's what we call a cash cow. In fact, the state supports 19,000 cattle ranches where the cows start off on a grass-fed diet before heading to the feedlots to put on a corn-based diet. Then all you have to do is subtract the fed, add some bread, and you got a corned beef sandwich. Don't forget the pickle. Beyond cattle, farmers also raise hogs, turkeys, and chickens. They produce eggs, dairy products, and about 460,000 pounds of wool. And thank you for that, Nebraska, because what would a Midwest winter be like without wool? Not warm. So 92% of Nebraska's total land is used for agriculture. However, the most valuable resource for the state's farmers is not what's on the land, but what lies beneath it: aquifers. And that is exactly why you don't judge a state by its corn. And for those of you still saying what? Aquifers are large, permeable bodies of rock under the Earth's surface that hold groundwater. These aquifers then allow pivot irrigation systems to deliver water to crops in an otherwise challenging climate. Having a ready source of water helps farmers avoid crop loss due to drought. Now you might be thinking, okay, sounds cool, but how much water is that anyway? Well, there's so much water under Nebraska that if it was above ground, it would have a depth of almost 38 feet. So in scientific terms, that's a lot of water. The water from the Ogallala Aquifer and the Platte River are an amazing resource, and farming in Nebraska would not be the same without them. Beyond corn, soybeans, and sorghum, Nebraska also grows hay in every single county. And in the western part of the state, you can find millet, sunflowers, wheat, and dry edible beans. Nebraska is actually the nation's leader in growing the Great Northern Bean. The Great Northern Beans are very popular throughout North America. But despite their popularity, I guess a bunch of you would never realize you've even eaten them. But they are added to soups and stews and casseroles, or hot dish if you're in Minnesota. Now beyond this tough Cornhusker persona, Nebraska actually has a sweet side. Take sugar beets, for example. Farmers have been successfully producing sugar beets in western Nebraska for well over 100 years, thanks to the arid climate, altitude, and the ability to irrigate. Sugar beets thrive on long days with sunshine and cool nights in the western part of Nebraska. They also like long walks on the beach and curling up with a good book. What's even sweeter is that Nebraska has enough honeybee colonies to produce more than 2.7 million gallons of honey every single year. And if that doesn't satisfy your sweet tooth, they also produce around 100,000 gallons of wine each year, which reminds me it is 5 o'clock somewhere and I better get going. Anyway, that's all the time we have for now. But you can always go to pivotbio.com/agstates and click on the show icon to explore more about the agriculture of your favorite states and test your knowledge to win great prizes and more. All right, I'm Charlie Behrens, and we'll see you next time on the Agricultural States of America.